Steampunk Fashion Show. So what we're going to do for you today is kind of just introduce you or find out more about steampunk fashion in general. And it's not a kind of, oh look, we've just made these fabulous outfits just for this fashion show. Basically what we've happened to be wearing. so it is just what we class as our steampunk outfits on a day-to-day basis or a general convention basis. Steampunk fashion, we don't see, there's quite a difference. If you look at American websites, American blogs about steampunk, they will talk quite a lot about costumes. We don't see these as costumes, we see these as, it's clothing, it's just an outfit that happens to be a little bit more spectacular than kind of your maybe everyday or wearing it to work wear. I mean, if I could wear this to work, I would, but as I teach 4 and 5-year-olds, I'd have a bit of a problem getting up and down off the floor. So what you're going to see are people's own interpretations as well, because there are many, many interpretations of steampunk. There is no definitive definition. It's whatever you feel is steampunk. There's some general kind of, not rules, but general sort of themes you might see running through, like a Victorian influence. You may see military influence. You may see a little bit of what we like to call, Karen coined a term, Vicwardian, and there's a George in there somewhere. She might tell you it. But yeah, so a little bit of mishmash, because as another steampunk friend of mine said, we're time travellers, we're just going to take the best bits of every era and put them all together. And I like that.
Yeah, steampunk isn't reenactment. We are not reenacting a specific period, or specific event or anything like that. We are taking elements of Victorian, Edwardian, military stuff, and just throwing it all together in a melting pot and pulling bits out of it, having fun with it. Steampunk is all about having fun.
And also, multicultural element, because the Victorian era, it's only the Victorian era in the British Empire. in the kind of talking about Wild West era, you'll see quite a lot of Wild West, or Steam Western as it's been christened, influences as well. You may see multicultural Indian, Chinese influences, those influences drawn from all over the world from what we call the Victorian era. But it did happen all over the world. So, shall we get on? First participants. Opening from that side, okie dokie. Right, so first participant is Jeanette. She's going to show you how it but rather nice.
Does my bottom look big in this? I well hope so.
So, tell us about it.
I happen to be married, luckily enough, to one of the most talented men on the face of the planet, who, apart from the jacket and the boots, has made everything else that I'm standing in. Last year we had the pleasure of going over to Holland to a Dutch steampunk event, and one of the themes for one of the nights was the Empire. So my husband, we had this fabric lying around the house, as you do, and my husband, the first attempt at making a corset, and my husband's made this, I don't know if you can see, it's got the map at the front. It's based on a Victorian walking skirt, and I do have a cage bustle under this, which unfortunately I forgot the bloomers, so I'm not going to make this, especially as hubby's over there looking at me. I don't think he'd appreciate me. So it's kind of based, as I said, a bit on the military style. So you do have a cropped military jacket, which second-hand shop, £4. Came down to there, wanted it shorter so you could show off the waist and the corset. So literally, you took a pair of scissors to it, frayed it, you have a jacket. Obviously, you have the tiny, whiny, wibbly wobbly bag. This again, how romantic is my husband? Your 5th wedding anniversary is leather. He made me the bag for our 5th wedding anniversary. Obviously, all steampunk need to be prepared with tea. So I am prepared with my teacup holster at the ready, again made by my husband, and gin. I'm not silly. I've got all refreshments covered, so it's, and then finished off with the tam o'shanter with a bit of bling. You've got to have a bit of steampunk bling. That's my outfit.
Next, Andrea. So here comes Andrea. She's going to walk so you can see her outfit. She's including a lovely skirt. And yeah, better not be naughty.
Okay. I want something to show you what you can put together. You don't have to be able to sew. You don't have to have a lot of money to put it together. The majority of what I'm wearing today is all from a charity shop. Apart from the corset and the boots, it's cost me about £13 altogether. The skirt is a nice old lady's skirt from a charity shop, which is just pinned up. So you don't even have to be able to sew to make it look a little bit special. So this is just pinned up. The next skirt, which is a square dancing skirt, again from a charity shop, that was £6. And the top was £1. So you can put a whole look together and it doesn't have to cost very much money. So you don't have to be able to make something beautiful, spend lots and lots of money to do something. It's just a little bit of creation and imagination. The boots were from eBay. They're Red or Dead boots, which I got for a bargain. I think they're about £30 on eBay. And the corset is a Corset UK corset. So a lot of people don't like them because they can obviously undercut corset makers. There's a huge difference between buying off the peg like this and having one made to your measurements. So this sort of thing would retail at around the sort of £60 mark. You can pick them up a bit cheaper, but do bear in mind they're never ever going to fit you like a tailored corset will fit you. So I do have a mixture of corsets in my wardrobe, from tailor-made to this sort of thing. So yeah, what you can do, and not a lot of money. Luckily, I am able to make hats. So I do tend to make hats to go with my outfits. But yeah, you don't have to spend lots of money to achieve a steampunk look. Thank you.
Our next. Oh, are we going to do your corset now? Okay, excellent. So, our next participant is Kim, who was lucky enough to have her name drawn out for hats, completely at random, in our Make a Corset in an hour. But it didn't quite take an hour. Just over, which I hadn't factored in lots of audience participation and questions. So, do you want to say anything about it?
This isn't from Corset UK. This is made to measure. The whole objective of the workshop was not about me showing how quick and clever I can be, but showing you just how simple corset making can be. It's not a couture corset, you know, it's not a 16-panel Victorian corset. It is a corset, it's based on Elizabethan styling. I've added a couple of faux leather straps to it since the workshop, just to give it a bit more of a punky feel to it. They are completely detachable. And all the information to make this sort of thing is on the internet, and all you need to be able to do is basically sew in a straight line. So the reason we ran the workshop is I just want people to stop seeing them as big scary things that can't be approached and just have a go. Because the first one might not be great, but you just get better and you just keep doing it. So many thanks to Kim, and I hope to see people just having a go at making things and realising that, you know, it can be done by anybody. The sewing, just so you're aware, was actually done by my wife rather than myself, and she does not sew. Because that was the whole point of the workshop. Not to sort of say that, you know, a professional who does it for 30 hours a week can do this. It's to say that somebody who doesn't sew, with a bit of maths, and a few guidelines, and a bit of patience, can put things together. So I hope you all do it.
But our next participant is Karen, otherwise known as Lady Elsie. She's going to walk for you to show off her outfit. Which again, we've already, just with only a few people, seen such a wide variety. And can you tell us about your outfit?
Right. At the Asylum, we have a fashion show where people make small collections of garments. And this is a garment I made last year for my monopunk section. I did a section of outfits all in black and white. Cat ear hat with a bespoke monogoggle on that my partner made, which was made for one of the shoots of the photographs in the back that Gary Nichols has been working on. This actually is a shop bought blouse, short sleeve, because I did the long sleeve one with it, but because it was hot here I thought short sleeve is going to be better. The dress is a very plain princess lined dress made out of a lightweight suiting. A piece of fabric I picked up in the market for about £3 or £4. I can't remember exactly how much, but it was just a bit short to be a proper suiting length. So it was probably just under 3 metres. So just a very plain A-line dress. The punky bit is the corset and the hitching method. The corset is what I call my comfort corset, the one I can actually work in. Oh, can you unhitch me, sorry? 3 small panels with steel boning inside, but the crisscrossing bit is elasticated. So very comfortable to wear. You can get it on and off very quickly and easily without worrying about all that lacing that you normally have to do. And then attached to it is little clips with the D-rings that I can be as adventurous as I like with. And because I felt the corset should be a piece of underwear, initially that's what it was for, and ladies had suspender clips. On the other side I've got little suspender clips and tabs. So from looking at a dress pattern that's a very plain straight dress pattern, it's the accessories that make it steampunk and the little hanging bag, because often when you've got your corsets on, you often don't have pockets, or if you have pockets in a skirt, they're at the top, and the corset often covers the pockets and you can't actually use them. So having a hanging pocket that's big enough to take your mobile phone or whatever piece of technology you need, house keys. So this was sort of my work to play outfit, because without the corset on, it's just a very simple dress that you could wear to the office or whatever. And if you're hunking it up, add the very stretchy corset over the top and the hitching and bits at the side. So that's my monopunk outfit.
Who's coming out next? We've got Keith. And Keith's going to walk for you in his very smart suit. Work that catwalk. Excellent.
That's set the bar.
That's to be done.
That's
That's to be done, I'm sorry.
Pressure's on, guys. So, Keith, tell us about your outfit.
This outfit, I love this outfit. It's one of my favourite outfits. It's very smart, and this was made for me by my half, maybe more. And she kind of upcycles things. And this is basically a charity shop suit, and which happens to fit me perfectly. So I was really lucky to find this charity shop suit. And we've gone for the Ripper Street look. I don't know if you saw the series. I loved it, absolutely brilliant. And so all really been done is just bias binding stitched around the edges of the belt and then down the side, which gives it that kind of Ripper Street look straight away. So it's a lovely suit. I mean, we're very lucky to find it. It's a really nice suit. If you look through charity shops, you can often find things. There's a doctor, a friend of ours, he just walks into every charity shop, finds a suit that fits in every blimmin' time. It's a really annoying person. And then he puts up pictures on it on Facebook.
Yeah, and then we all hate it.
So men's stuff is much harder to find in charity shops, I will say.
Yeah.
Women's stuff is relatively easy to find in charity shops. Men don't seem to use their clothes or throw them out quite so much, I don't know. Or they just don't care much about fashion. So it's much harder to find. But when you do find it, you know, it's great because, as I say, this came from a charity shop. This came from a charity shop as well, the waistcoat, which is a lovely waistcoat. I really like it. It's a little bit short, so I keep doing this all the time. It's called Picarding, as I'm sure you know. I've got a stopwatch. You know, if you're going to go down the steampunk route, then a fob watch stopwatch is really, you know, is really the thing. It's got a picture of a lady. Oh no, I won't show that. And I've got a medal which one of the steampunk makers made. So just little touches like that just make it a little bit more steampunk. That came from the museum, that came from past times. The shoes, I think, are probably from Asda, Georgia Asda. I hate spending money on shoes, so I just bought cheap pair of shoes. And that's really it. And I mean, I normally dress, my character is Russian, so I normally dress Russian. So I do have what I think is quite an amazing outfit, which is a full-length Russian Corset coat with a furry hat, huge furry hat. Because I basically, I'm a stand-up comic and I write radio comedy and stuff. So, so I have a, oh yeah.
Mini-me's wearing
In fact, if you want to see what I wear, he's clipped on. So just watch it.
Oh, he's clipped on.
Yeah, he's clipped. But that's what I normally wear. And this is from a lovely lady called Pinkney Dolls, who made this. And this is actually what I look like when I'm on stage. Literally, I have this lovely Corset coat with ridiculous amounts of kind of braiding and stuff on, and this silly hat because it's a comic character. And again, that was bought in an RSC sale, the actual real size costume. And I picked up a few costumes in that. Great bargain. And again, if you can find theatrical sales, sometimes they're a great source of really interesting costumes and stuff. So. Yeah, so I mean, again, this particular whole outfit, the most expensive thing I'm wearing is my Armani watch, which I had several years ago. But the shirts from was originally from Primark, I think. So the whole thing is probably, I don't know, 30 quid maybe at most. So, but I'm really pleased with it.
It's a good example of how just little touches and tweaks can transform something that is actually quite ordinary every day into a steampunk outfit.
And because of what I do, I work primarily in marketing as a consultant. I work with a lot of creative companies. I can actually generally get away with wearing this, probably without the badges and the medal. But certainly, I've worn a waistcoat for watching the suit before. So I'm again, it's a question of it being clothes rather than a costume.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much.
Here comes John, our steam bear. Right, are you going to walk the catwalk first?
No, bears can't walk like cats, we walk like bears.
Well, do the bear walk.
Well, bear dance. Oh.
Bear dance.
That was all lifted from Caddyshack, if you've seen Caddyshack, where the gophers dance like this. And it became a catchphrase at the asylum where I'd be presenting on stage and they'd say, do the bear dance, and it became like this. And then, of course, the Yogi Bear movie came out. And if you've seen the end titles of Yogi Bear, he dances like this. So it became, do the bear dance. Oh, the full yogi.
So, you're going to tell us about your...
This is basically how I dress all the time. Anybody who knows me, this is how I dress all the time. I don't often wear goggles on my hat, but it's the reason we wear goggles on our hats. It's a signpost. It lets people know I'm a steampunk. That means that any stranger can walk up to me and go, hello, I'm such and such. It makes you approachable. It makes you friendly. And bears aren't always friendly. Sometimes we're gritty. Working in TV, I can get away with being slightly eccentric. And as everybody knows, I'm always losing things. So I have here, I can never find my spectacles. I've got my lens to read the small print on packets and instructions. Watches get damaged because I'm building sets and props and things, so my pocket watch lives there. And being a steampunk, there's always a need for gin. So basically, it's just standard high street jeans. They've been tweaked a little bit, so I've got little Victorian details and put on them. Just little tiny modifications to make them that bit different. The waistcoat actually came from Primark. I don't like Primark in terms of their ethics, but when this waistcoat was just £3 and it came with a matching jacket for under 20 quid in total, I'm sorry, I sold out my ethics.
You're not the only one, John.
Bowler hats I wear most of the time. This one being green, a little bit unusual, matches the waistcoat, although I do get accused of being a leprechaun. And I find that offensive because I'm actually born a Scot, but I was fostered and raised in care in Yorkshire, so I don't know quite what I am. But I'm not a leprechaun. And that's about it. Oh, the shirt was the only real indulgence. The shirt came from the Black Country Museum?
Yeah.
The Black Country Living History Museum. There they've got a gentleman's outfitters. But in that gentleman's outfitters, you can get some real bargains. This is a proper Victorian style shirt. So it's collarless, it only buttons down to here, it's got a long tail in the front, and it was 40 quid. If you buy them online from the same manufacturer, they're 60 quid. Go to the Black Country Museum. The guy who runs Gentleman's Outfitters is, he'll talk your ears off, and I think he models himself a little bit on John Inman for that Gentleman's Outfitter sort of character, but he's great and he's really helpful. Thank you very much, Mark.
Trevor, who is adopting a Steam-Western style. Do you want to give us your best sachet? I'm a small person. Don't scare her. Very imposing.
You usually hear bam, 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 but it's not here.
Right, so Trevor's going to tell us about his outfit.
It's going to come a real shock, I know, but I was actually a goth. I know, you can never tell, just because I happen to be able the black, I never went in for brown and cream. It was never my colour scheme. I've always been about dark steel. But this coat probably sat in the wardrobe unworn, probably sort of since I discovered steampunk, which is going back about 7 years now, until a couple of years ago when Steam Western started becoming a popular. Well, I just discovered Steam Western. You add into that a lot of Nerf guns and that sort of thing, and it came back out of the wardrobe. It doesn't have to be browns and creams. It can be a darker steampunk, and I prefer being a darker steampunk. So my sort of goth clothing gets put together in a different way. I would have never worn it this way as a goth, but you know, an addition of my marshal badge, possibly not as straight as Marshal in the county, but and my goggles that have gone for a little wander somewhere. I did have goggles and a respirator mask in case I have to use any airships. Of course, a steampunk modded Nerf gun. The holster and belt, I did make those myself. It's something I do make. I can't stand here and say this is this came from a charity shop. This came from, because it didn't. Because going back then, I didn't work for myself. I had money. Now I work for myself. I have no money. I have to make everything. So yeah, it's not actually the cheapest outfit in the world. The New Rock boots aren't cheap. The leather trousers, they were great. They were 20 quid from like a bring and buy type. You know, sometimes get a bring and buy, but people sell the costumes and bring them in. They were 20 quid from one of those. They were great. The coat is heavy, silly heavy. We did true story. Little true story. Because this coat weighs so much, one day my wife got curious about the difference in my weight from being in my underwear to being fully dressed in my heaviest boots with all the bits and pieces of all this. This is going back to goth days, so there's a lot of sort of hand armour and all sorts of things. And the difference between underwear and how I was fully dressed was 2 stone. So you're going to work out with it as well. But now repurposed into Steam Western. So took out the wardrobe and repurposed.
She's her outfit for you. Again, we're getting the kind of flavour of different cultures now. So, Jenny's going to tell us a little bit about her outfit.
Yes, I think this picks up on 2 popular tropes in steampunk. There's the multiculturalism and there's pirates. For me, I think looking to the east is such a rich vein of visual culture that I like to explore more and plumb more and experiment with different looks and textiles. And also kimonos are very practical. When not being worn as an outfit, so this is my dressing gown. But I'm not even attempting to wear it authentically. I'm going for the Victoriantal look. My interpretation of the Victorian interpretation look rather than authenticity. So, hence it being made appropriate to the high-necked blouse and a long skirt, of course. Although, heaven forbid, I might be exposing my lower limb joints. Yes, but the sandals and such are nod to the tappy that would have been worn in Japan. The fan is an antique. I do spend a lot of time scouring antiques and vintage things because antique and vintage clothing, it tends to be crispy and in a somewhat fragile condition, whereas the accessories are much more flexible and they generally can be restored with a little bit of care as well up to usable standard. Likewise the hair comb. The hat is a nod towards another outfit. Again, in keeping with the skull and crossbones, this was a nod towards my Poisonatrix outfit that I generally wear with a poison bottle necklace. So a slightly darker, rather sinister but still playful edge.
Thank you very much. Walk our catwalk for you.
I can't do all that.
Great. Said I'm doing that.
Half an hour ago, I didn't even know I was.
Yeah. That's why we tell you these things last minute. Over here, now do this. Right, tell us about you.
So when I said in an earlier panel, you can wear what you like and pretty much get away with it, I'm a prime example of that. Because I've got some steampunk cufflinks, which my daughter bought me because she felt sorry for me. Dad, you really need something that's steampunk. And a fob watch that I bought from John and Karen's stall at MCM. Normally, I would wear actually a Hussar's waistcoat, which I like, and I like that look actually. Somebody at MCM in a full military costume did say to me, Hussar's? I said, actually, no, I've got a bit of a soft neck. Didn't find it very funny. And it seems like other than you. But it's kind of, this is for me really when I'm standing exhibiting my art, and it's more not joining in, but I feel that I can't really show my art without putting something on that is steampunk because of all the people that make such an effort to put my pictures, they create all the costumes for my images, and for me to just turn up in a polo shirt or something, it doesn't really work. So that's why I at least make some form of effort. I didn't think that I'd be standing talking about it, but there you go, that's about it. But what I will say is, as I said earlier, 2 years ago I didn't even know what steampunk was. But the costumes that I actually like are the ones that are the more elaborate in terms of intricate gadgets, There are people that have all sorts of moving goggles on their heads, and they've got false arms, and they take it off and it turns into a gun or something. So, you know, those, to me, the ingenuity is the bit.
His outfit. Oh, excellent.
I was so fed up I wasn't the first one.
So, tell us about you.
Okay. I'm possibly going to be slightly different to the rest now because some of this is charity shop. The shirts and the waistcoat are from Camden. The trousers are just a high street one, but they come with braces, which was really cool. I had to get them off.
And proper button-up ones as well.
Excellent.
Excellent.
But the jacket was an indulgence. It was from a designer shop, and I saw it, and it's like, it's so steampunk, it's so cool. But the great thing about it is sort of like the faded Union Jack look to it. But I can wear it to other places, and it's not too much, it's not over the top. They might see one that's similar to it around. Yes. That's just a coincidence, we don't shop together. And again, it's sort of, I didn't know we were doing this. Because sometimes I've like got a neckerchief, I've got a hat on, which I could have put on, but generally, because I'm at the back talking and sort of getting involved with the people, it's something that's easy to take the jacket off when it gets a bit hot or whatever, and it's just convenient to wear it while I'm here. So, again, if I had the hat on, I've got the goggles, but I've got the pocket watch on. The waistcoat, it's not even my best waistcoat, I've got a gold one, which again, I'd have put on if I don't know. But it's useful for the things like some tic-tacs and things, because when you're talking to people, it's like you don't want to overpower them too much. So, and again, with the waistcoat, I sort of, I'd be happy to sort of, you know, sometimes I go just, maybe not quite as flash as this, but the shirt and waistcoat, it's comfortable to wear out the trousers and whatever all the time. And as I've made a reference a few times, if you're ever in a hotel and you've got a shirt and a waistcoat on, preferential treatment, it works all the time. People go, do you want more tea and coffee? Come to the front of the queue. So a waistcoat is a really good bonus to sort of wear.
Yeah, definitely works.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Think I'm done?
Yeah. Jackie, who's going to walk the catwalk. Her splendid explorer type outfit. Give us the details.
This is my steampunk adventurous look. It's easy to wear. There's no petticoats or anything. There's nothing to restrict me. I can go anywhere I feel like. Great comfort. It's quite heavy, so I do a workout whilst I'm wearing it as well, because it's made of full denim. So there is quite a lot of weight to it. But because it's made of full denim, it also packs well and doesn't crease badly. So like I say, you can take it anywhere. I can also wear it with my utility belt, which is a godsend. Anybody who carries a big handbag around that has your phone and your keys and this is hands-free, as good as it gets. I have my glasses, my phone, my keys, my money, more keys in case I go adventuring, and I can carry my fan as well, and I'm completely hands-free. It's just, to me, this is the epitome of steampunk. You know, this is what, if you say steampunk to somebody, this is the sort of thing they imagine they will see.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's my adventure, take me anywhere.
And is it something that you made?
No, it's not something I've made. It's something I've bought from a very dear friend who lost an awful lot of weight. Thankfully! It didn't fit her anymore. I was hoping I might get too small to fit it, but I haven't lost any weight, so I'll cheat at the waist reduction.
Excellent, thank you very much. Now we have very splendid Mark in his outfit. You're going to strut your stuff. Yet another take on steampunk. Very stunning.
about your look?
Well, for those of you who were at the earlier panel this morning, I was talking about playing with non-traditional materials. And so I decided to make a kilt out of a non-traditional material. I like to work with leather. The rubber, the latex was a challenge, and one that I think worked out okay. So what I've done is my particular take on steampunk is with slightly more emphasis on the punk. So I like jingly things, I like chains, and I like kind of using non-traditional materials, but matching that up with a very formal look. So I'm always trying to kind of see how far I can take it. Sometimes pushing the boundaries a little bit too far, but there we go. And just making sure that I'm presentable and respectable, but with a bit of an edge and a bit of playfulness.
Thank you very much.
Next.
I've got windswept.
Your windswept. Windswept is interesting. We've got Malika, who's going to put it. Yeah, you've got to go up and down. Them's the rules. Hello. Then everybody gets to see 360. Excellent. But it wasn't from Jim.
That's a for us.
So, tell us.
Well, all I'm going to say is banana! So, I take steampunk and a pinch of salt, really. This is my minion. I'm wearing Dunelm Mill bed sheets, which the yellow fabric is £4 for a double sheet from Dunelm Mill. Go in the sales. The other thing is curtains, charity shop. And a corset, and all I've done is I've made a minion outfit out of a bed sheet and some curtains, and if anybody saw me yesterday, I was wearing Doctor Who curtains, and if anybody saw me last night, I was wearing a Star Wars Return of the Jedi duvet cover.
So I should start calling you Maria instead of Malika. Yeah, Maria. Sound music, makes clothes out of curtains.
Oh yeah, I do. It's just about a lot of charity shop stuff and things like that. So upcycling, reappropriation of fabrics, but very simply done is just lots of elastic to make it work underneath. Obviously, I pull my corset in quite a lot, and I've got an ammunition. It's a bandolier. Actually, it should be worn across the body, but I always wear it around the front, and I always know that that's the iPhone, that's the credit card, that's the change, that's the hand sanitizer, that's the hotel room, and the car keys. So,
Batarang.
Oh, the batarang, yeah, that's around the back. Lightsabers off there. I go for funny. I normally wear it with a bowler hat with goggles. Obviously, you have minion goggles. So tongue in cheek, have fun. For Canvas Hands, I made Madame Chalet, which was out of some Wombles curtains and lots of fur. So I was Madame Chalet, and I went around cleaning chalets at Canvas Hands. It's a holiday camp. And for the asylum this year, I'm having some fun with Serenity and lots of brown fabrics, but also, has anybody discovered spoon flower?
Yeah.
Has anybody spent a lot of money on spoon flower?
No.
Okay, spoon flower, if you want a design of any fabric ever created, you go in spoon flower, just type in Star Wars, Game of Thrones, steampunk, whatever you want. You can have any kind of fabric printed with anything that you want, and you just pay a lot of money for it. It is very expensive, but what you should do is, I've ordered some amazing Serenity fabric, but all I'm going to do is the middle two panels of a corset, and then find a contrasting colour, probably in curtains from a charity shop, to do the rest of it. So just if you buy little pieces, it's about £20, so you just then use bits and bobs. But have fun. Curtains, car boot sales, charity shops, and vintage, yeah.
And it's a really good example of kind of taking what might be quite a populist theme or idea, like a minion or, like Doctor Who, like the Wombles, and then making a take on it, which is kind of the ultimate in steampunk, having fun and creating kind of fabulous.
Yeah, I'm a geek, so I'll dress in lots of geeky things, and if I'm not wearing this, I'm wearing white ABS plastic as a biker scout, so that's a little bit different, but yeah, there you go, have fun with it.
Thank you very much.
Oh. Great, so you're going to walk
All the way up.
All the way up.
Give us a sachet. Come on, child.
360.
Yeah, give us 12. And then come back again by the child. No children were harmed in this. Maybe in Steve all the time. Right. Tell us about your lovely coat and
Well now,
stuff and things.
I did actually go through quite a long period of deliberation about this particular outfit. Honestly, I was browsing on Tumblr and I saw a selection of shawais, which is a traditional Indian outfit, a particular kind of a jacket a bit like this, and it looked amazing. But then I got a bit worried about, would it be considered cultural appropriation? Would it be offensive? So I did some research. I asked opinions of lots of people, and quite a lot of people said no, because it's not a religious garment. It's a traditional garment, but it's clothing. It's ordinary clothing that people wear for weddings, and I wanted it for the asylum ball. So I looked around. I found an Indian company called Bodyline. And I went on their website, and what they had on their website was a section which was labelled Indo-Western Fusion.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and this particular jacket was on there, and I thought, well, it's a mixture of Western style and Indian style. So I ordered that because I just liked the style of it, and I thought there's something really dressy for a ball. It was an appropriate thing to wear. So I really like it.
Yes, so again, another different culture. And there's a bit of goth going on there.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit goth.
You can't,
Yeah.
you took me out the goth scene, but you can't
Yeah.
can't take the goth scene out of the boy.
So yeah, fantastic.
I'll go that way.
Right, is it you now? Now we have Hair Doctor. It's looking very well, all the way up. Yes, so we can have a good old look at your fine outfit. Yeah, another different take. I'm thinking Mr. Darcy. Not that I'm a fan. No. But tell us about you. Fantastic.
Well, where do I begin? Well, I suppose I'll get the charity shop purses out of the way first. I understand my
King
name.
of the charity shop.
My name might already been taken in vain today.
Absolutely.
Well, the cane to start off with. This is a ball cue. And the rather fine topper, which is indeed a topper, is a rather natty silver-plated West German bottle stopper, which cost a princely sum of, I think, £2. And there was some kicking about in my box of things to do, and I was going to make a tiny fascinator for a young lady friend, and I realised it was far too heavy to wear all day, so it's probably best I kept it for myself. Other charity shop is a pair of button-fly Levi's in they're not chinos, I think. Look, careful now. They might actually be 501s now, I think about it, and the shirts, which it's quite difficult to find a sort of cork or mushroom shirt. So looking online didn't work, so I had to hunt around the charity shops. Other than that, this rather fine Rupert Bear waistcoat was a vintage purchase from a vintage store, where the man I just wanted £40 for it, and when I tried it on, he went, It looks too good on you, I'll take 30. I went, okay, that's the sort of hard sell I like. The jacket, as probably the point is already made, that menswear is quite easy to find because menswear does not go in and out of fashion quite the same way that women's wear does. So a few years ago, this sort of high button sort of Edwardian style with a velvet collar came back in. Just long enough for it to go out of fashion again really quickly and wind up in TK Maxx for a fraction of the price. As well as from TK Maxx. But on the hat was an acquisition from an antique fair. I do like the brown toppers, but the modern ones are very nice, but they're a bit too fuzzy. But this is one from, I believe, the 1970s, from whenever brown briefly came into fashion for living wear. That is from a Christopher Scotney Limited of London Road, Leicester, who are still in business. I think the only thing left in my old tie, the cravat, which has the ever-fashionable seal of Rassilon on it, made over from leavings from a friend's husband's waistcoat, again from Spoonflower, or whoever they are.
Yes.
And as a thank you for a pair of absinthe fairy wings I made for the lady, she made me this rather nice cravat. And the only other thing I think I have to talk about are the goggles, which of course for art. I'm fulfilling the steampunk cliche of being dressed in brown with brass accessories. These are made by a very nice man called, name's just popped out of my head, I'll come back later. But he trades under the name of Aton Fabrique. He's a lovely French chap who lives in Camden, who makes lots of this sort of thing called cybergoth community. One day he bought some brass to make steampunk goggles, and he's a very, very nice man. I've met him a couple of times. The first time I met him, he said, "Oh, you are wearing my goggles." I said, "Yes, indeed, I am." And he looked at me, he said, "May I see what you have done with them?" Putting the lenses on. And when I was looking at it, he did a very French thing, he went, "Oh." "Oh, what?" He said, "Oh," he said, "these are some of my diamonds. I have improved them since then." And he said about how the sort of lining in here pops out of here. He's improved that one. Yes, I've improved it since then. He said, "Oh, will you be here tomorrow?" I said, "Yes, I will." I will take them home tonight and fix them. He took them home and he brought them back the following day. And I said, "What do I usually fix them?" He said, "Oh, nothing's ever not." I said to him, are you only happy with what goes out to your customer when you're happy with it, and damn what the customer thinks?" He said, "Oh yes," he said, "if it's not finished, I'm not happy with it." And I thought, yes, I said to him, yes, that's my attitude of the things I make. If I'm not happy with it, nobody gets to see it. It has to be, well, actually I've got 2 works in progress here. Usually I say I'm not happy it's finished, but luckily they are both at a point where I'm happy with them, so I'm happy to show them. Yes, there you go, that's my outfit.
So now we've got Alan, who's going to parade for us in a rather, kind of great
You
receipt.
prefer the rear view, I know.
I know, I prefer the rear view. That's just very slow walk. Keeping everyone. So, tell us about your outfit.
My outfit is a mix of charity shop, a mix of bought items, and a mix of gifts, and just stuff I had in my wardrobe anyway. Before I became steampunk, I owned these trousers. And in fact, I'm turning the clock back 5 years to the first convention we went to as steampunks. I wore more or less this. The boots came from not exactly a charity shop, but a recycled clothing shop that's now sadly gone.
Dinosaur
Market in Hereford. Waistcoat is another Primark one, which I think is £4. 2 or 3 seasons ago, Primark did a couple of tweed outfits. So I've got trousers, waistcoat. This is actually your waistcoat, so. But they did a limited range of gents tweed outfits, and they look proper tweed.
Really
Yeah.
nice, like a proper 100% wool.
They wear, you know, they fit very nicely, they wear nicely. This, as with Mark's one, is something of an indulgence. This was a birthday present from my local partner. It wasn't cheap. It's Bolingaro and Trevor. It is a designer type.
Yeah. But it's made of a real
But it
flag.
is made from vintage linen Union flags that have been cut up and sewn together as a jacket. And it is quite envious. We were at Expo, MCM Expo a couple of years ago when Britain's Next Top Model was having their show at Expo at the same time. And there were a number of fangirls who were squealing over these who were from Next Top Model. What else? The shirt is actually the same as John's. So earlier it's a linen, it's a very, very nice quality linen shirt. Flannel, sorry. I actually think he got a price for them. I think they were only 25 quid.
I think they're 25.
Absolute bargain. In fact, if we had to go back, I would buy more of these. It's really, really nice. It's a very fitting shirt for Victorian era. Neckerchief. I actually bought this earlier. I thought somebody up there was selling Union flag neckerchiefs. I've got jacket arms with it. Neckerchief as well to go with it. Accessories. Standard leather belt, pouch that I keep my wallet in is a British Army officer's Sam Brown ammunition pouch. So it's still ammunition. Tin flask, full of gin. Actually, not so full of gin. It came from one of the other stink makers, as called Arrow Jack, whose Mark who was killed earlier. So these in fact both of the leather cups are his as well. And then here's a pocket watch. Chain is a vintage one from eBay. For my fob, I'm using a slightly bit. Dribble through. That's a nice little feature. Biscuit medals. You make these.
I made those.
There's a stationery shop that sells miniature biscuits and razors. She had the bright idea of combining that with metal ribbons, with spoons, biscuit medals. Ideal.
From my tiffin industry, which is all to do with tea.
And the brooch is just the innards of an old pocket watch that's had a brooch pin glued to the back of it. Patterns of old hat, a number I own. And the goggles came from a maker. I think he was in the UK. He used to say you traded on eBay really nice goggles, best, you know, some of the best I've seen. Sadly, he's disappeared. Otherwise, I'd be buying more. So yes.
So yeah.
Thank you. Now it's Michelle's turn. Can you post this?
Can't wait for that. So, my own outfit, it's pretty much all, apart from the sort of obvious pouch, boots, and the shirt, I made it. And I wanted something that was a bit more summertime, a bit more lightweight steampunk. And also I wanted something that was a bit more kind of stereotypical, because I don't normally do brown, because my old school uniform was brown and I hated it. I've only just sort of, you know, more than 20 years later started to accept the brown. So it kind of came together out of, I'm a buyer of fabric. I am a massive buyer of fabric. I see fabric and go, oh, I really like that. And it has to feel right and look right and, you know, kind of flap and fold right. And then I'll buy it and put it in my stash. And sometimes it's in my stash for a long time, sometimes it's in my stash for a short time. Depends on kind of how it percolates in my head. And so I kind of wanted this more lighter weight, more summertimey, not so roastingly hot steampunk outfit. And I wanted a kind of scrappy, urchin-y sort of look as well, that kind of little urchins in the gutter Victorian, not quite the high, you know, lady going off for tea in her finest, you know, Sunday best. So I just basically looked around for inspiration and then found the bits I liked and adapted patterns. This is I think it's a butterick pattern, which if you ever go on any corset making websites, people really slag it off because it's that shape, it's like a tube, and women aren't a tube. So I did make a mock-up and adjust the pattern so that it fitted me a bit better. But I wanted something slightly more modest than the normal sort of everything on show.
That didn't start as a two-piece, did it?
Well, no, the original idea, it was going to be a dress, but then I was a bit lazy and I couldn't be bothered to figure out how to kind of extend panels, and so I ended up just making the corset. But I'm actually more pleased with it. And then it is literally just made up of different bits of... I kept finding the same fabric. If you look really close, it's the same fabric in different colours. So hence it works well sewing it together. It doesn't give you any massive issues with like slippage or different weights pulling against each other. And then it is just literally scraps. And somebody pointed out the other day, she said, oh, I really like your bloomers, which I actually made ages and ages ago. And they're a pair of old linen trousers that I just chopped the bottom off, stuck some broderie that again I had lying around in the house, and some ribbon. And she said, oh, they match your skirt. And I'm like, yeah. And it was literally the scraps out of my basket that I trimmed everything with. It was like, oh, that bit's long enough to go on there. I'll put it on there. And then, yeah, just adding a bit of colour. My favourite colour is red, so I had the boots anyway. I found a pouch at MCM, and it was an exact match, so I thought I had to buy it. And the hat, which, again, I found that at some convention. Might have been a... Again, it's not much complicated sewing. Most of it you just need to be able to sew in a straight line. And this is just, I looked up different pictures of skirts, found one that I quite liked, which I think was an interesting one, and kind of just looked at it. I made the picture as big as I could, and you know, just, oh right, okay, and it is literally 3 squares. There's no fancy painting, it's 3 squares, and one of them had to be a bit bigger, so I had to put sort of a Frankenstein bit on it. And it is just literally 3 squares, hole cut in the middle, the same size as my waist, a band folded in half, sewn on, and I've got quite a complicated looking skirt, but actually it's really easy. So yeah. Final kind of everybody in a line together, unfortunately. But I hope you've enjoyed seeing different takes, people's different takes on steampunk, from, you know, kind of scavenged bits to completely handmade to, you know, procured from different charity shops and places like that. Different styles,